Fox News alert. Explosions rocking Kyiv, with officials reporting several people killed and dozens more injured.
And the U.S. Embassy warning Americans in Ukraine to shelter in place.
Widespread electricity and water outages are also being reported across the country as Russia targets energy infrastructure. Trey Yingst is monitoring the situation, joins us live from Kharkiv. Trey, it sounds as if this is a revenge attack by Mr. Putin against the Ukrainians for that bridge blowing up a couple of days ago.
Carly, Steve, Brian, good morning. It does appear this is the Russian revenge for that bridge destruction that took place on the main artery between Russia and Crimea over the weekend. Today, Russia launched a massive attack against this country, firing more than 80 missiles into Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also saying Iranian suicide drones were used and launched from Belarus. You can see the aftermath here in the capital of Kyiv. One of the strikes hitting the center part of the city, just pure destruction. At least 5 people were killed there and 5 others in different parts of this country. This is the worst air attack on the capital of Ukraine since the war began. Now, the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv did send out an email to Americans still in the country, urging them to shelter in place. Russian President Vladimir Putin commented on the missile strikes today, saying, quote, "It is simply impossible to leave the crimes of the Kyiv regime unanswered." Putin also trying to frame the Crimea bridge explosion over the weekend as a Ukrainian terror attack. Here in the second largest city of Kharkiv, 3 missiles slammed into the power grid outside the city. We did speak with the mayor of Kharkiv this morning in the metro system where people are sheltering. Take a listen.
Russian rockets hit all of Ukraine, including our city of Kharkiv, where the rockets hit the infrastructure. Their aim was to not let people live normally and to destroy the infrastructure.
The city of Kharkiv is currently in a blackout right now. We have generators running here, but as you can see, our live position is underground at the moment, waiting for things to calm down in Ukraine's second largest city. Back to you.
Hey, Trey, what's the sense right now in Ukraine, despite these attacks? Do you get the sense that they feel like they're winning and that they can beat the Russians almost in every military-to-military confrontation?
They do. The strikes today have not changed the momentum in this war. We spent the past several days on the front lines in the eastern part of this country, talking with Ukrainian soldiers and visiting the recently liberated villages. And they have significant momentum in the east, but these artillery battles are ongoing, and the Russians are not giving up this territory without a fight. It's important to remember that today's incident highlights the Ukrainian need for air defense systems around major population centers. The Russians say they achieved all of their goals today, hitting military targets in this country, though there is no evidence of that taking place. They were hitting civilian infrastructure, playgrounds next to hospitals in the Ukrainian capital, and the power grid here outside of Kharkiv that supplies the more than 1 million civilians that are in the city with the critical power to stay alive and continue their lives here. And that was the point that the mayor of Kharkiv was stressing this morning as we interviewed him underground, was that civilians are the most affected while the war does grind on in the east. The targeting today did not take place against military infrastructure.
Yeah, Trey, and you just mentioned you were just in one of the liberated areas of Ukraine that Russia had occupied for months. What was that experience like, and what were the people telling you? If just putting myself in their shoes, I would be scared that Russia would come in once again and reoccupy the area. How do they feel?
Well, they're extremely terrified about the situation that is ongoing. We went to Halushkivka, a small village that sits to the east of the Oshkil River in the Kharkiv region, and we spoke with Ukrainian civilians who just 2 days prior had lived under Russian control. And it was so important to be there on the ground speaking with these Ukrainians because it really pushed back against the propaganda coming out of Moscow right now, who say that these Ukrainians want to be under Russian control. They do not. Most of the people that we talked to were waving and smiling at these Ukrainian soldiers we were with, even hugging them because they were so happy to finally be liberated. And that's what we saw when we were reporting in the eastern part of this country. But the battles do rage on, and as we were there, the front lines were shifting even at that hour.
Absolutely. Wow. Of course, it is dangerous there, and that is why you have taken cover there. Trey Yingst, thank you very much for joining us live. Be safe.